My name is Dusty Rhodes. In the fall of 1942, I was a member of a fighter squadron in the Pacific named the Grim Reapers. We were attached to the aircraft carrier, the USS Enterprise, along with a task force including another carrier, a cruiser, a battleship, and about 20 destroyers and destroyer escorts. The task force was on its way to the Solomon Islands area that was under constant attack from the Japanese. On October the 26th, we received a position report of a large Japanese carrier task force indicating that the enemy was within the radius of action of our aircraft. We were passing through about 10,000 feet when I observed two of the bombers fall out of the formation with Japanese Zero fighters behind them. When we turned into the Zeros, they gave us their full attention so that they could get back to their attack on the bombers. Our division leader gave us a signal to drop our external fuel tanks. When my section leader, Chip, began losing altitude, I circled above and between him and a dozen attacking Zeros for whom I now became the primary target. Even worse, my external tank would not separate. Eventually, it was hit by incendiaries and became a blowtorch. Neither Chip nor I had enough altitude to dive for speed. We were sitting ducks. I'll never forget the sound of bullets breaking the sound barrier as they passed my head. Another Zero made a run on me and cut the rudder cables. Even though the plane was dangerously low, less than 500 feet above the water, I shoved the canopy open, released the seat belt, stood up, pulled the ripcord, and kicked the stick forward. That made the plane pitch down, and I was catapulted up and out. At the very bottom of the first swing, I hit the water in a vertical position, so I wasn't knocked out. After freeing myself and the para-raft from the parachute harness, I discovered that because of damaged equipment, the only way to get air into the raft now was to blow into it. Then I discovered that the raft kit had been peppered with bullets, causing holes that needed to be plugged with the attached repair kits, patching, and rubber cement. And I'd better do it fast. Clear water brought sharks to my mind. Things got worse when my attempt to cut off a patch with my hunting knife resulted in a bleeding leg as I tried to sheath it in its holster attached to the leg of my coveralls. Eventually, I managed to patch all but one hole and was able to blow enough air into the raft so that it was half inflated. My lungs weren't strong enough to inflate it fully, but while inhaling more air for the next blow, I had to use my thumb to cap the hole. It was a real challenge to keep my thumb on the hole at the same time as boarding the raft, which was no bigger than a pair of pants with air in them. And then I had to continue blowing about every 20 minutes or so the rest of that day and night. After 3 hours on the first day, I heard the engines of the aircraft group we had been part of returning from their strike against the Japanese fleet. I yelled and waved, all to no avail. But luckily I was shot down much closer to our fleet than to the enemy. I spent the night erratically paddling the raft with my right hand, the left still plugging the hole. The next morning as dawn was breaking, I heard a sound behind me. I turned my head and there, side by side, dorsal fins out of the water, were two sharks. I still had my Colt 45 that had long ago rusted from the salt water, so I didn't know whether it would fire or not. I put my hunting knife on my lap as a substitute weapon and aimed at 45 at the head of the nearest shark. Suddenly I saw a mass crossing the horizons, and the sharks had disappeared. One mass started coming directly at me. It got bigger and bigger. Finally I could see a gray destroyer with two turrets forward. A rope came over the side and I grabbed onto it. What I saw next was a real shock. Japanese sailors leaning over the railing. I almost let go of the rope. If it hadn't been for those sharks, I might have.